Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I am so happy that you came to this video today. And I think this video is really important for anybody that's concerned about having strokes or who have had strokes. And you really have lost hope because you think it's not going to get better. I've lost function. I'm not the person I used to be. And I don't think that's true for most people. I think there is a way to improve, rather you've suffered a minor complication of a stroke or have had a major complication. And today I have a great guy by the name of Dave Mack, and you may know him because he has the No Carb Life YouTube channel. I definitely want you to check out his channel. He talks about the animal-based diet and the benefits of that. And I wanted to bring him to this video because I think he'll be the perfect person to share with you some of the things that he had to deal with when he had a stroke, and then how he was able to improve upon those things. So Dave, thank you for coming to the video, and also thank you for being a guest on the Protecting Your Nest podcast. And I'll share a link to that video as well. But share with my audience, where were you and where are you now, and how did you make that recovery?
So, thanks for having me on. I had a stroke in 1992. That was the result of a subarachnoid hemorrhage, and that happened in my sleep. And I went through a few months of uncertainty following that, but eventually it was resolved by coiling the aneurysm. Um, but that left me with this palsy on my right side, from just the impact the stroke had. My right side's always been weaker since the stroke, and walking has always been a struggle. Um, I would limp. I don't have as much kind of grip strength or reaction time in my right hand. Um, I don't see as well, or the reaction time is not as good on this side of my face. Um, I've just kind of dealt with those things, and they became a normal part of life over the last 31 years. Um, and so I went carnivore, fully carnivore 17 months ago. And in that 17 months, some things have improved. So just to go back, some of the problems I would have would be that I would constantly be tripping over. So when you kind of put your foot down on the ground as you're walking, you put your foot down like that and then lift it off. And I guess it kind of goes up a little bit like that. But with my right foot, I would drag my right foot. And so um, it would raise up, and I'd kind of catch my toe, and then it would still be attached to the ground basically, and I'd trip forward. And over the years, that just became a thing where I didn't fall over and kind of land on my head or something like that. I just got very good at, keeping myself stabilized. So I'd trip, but I'd kind of, be able to right myself. But it was very frustrating, especially as a public speaker, if I was walking onto a stage, or I was walking out in front of people and I'd trip on the carpet or something. It would be kind of really embarrassing way to start a presentation. Um, so I would have to implement strategies like always wearing leather-soled shoes, so it was nice and smooth, and that would give me the least chance of tripping over. Um, and so I don't do that as much anymore. My leg's not as lazy as it used to be. I don't have that weakness as much anymore, and so whereas before I might be tripping 4 or 5 times a day, in the last month or more than a month, I've probably tripped 4 or 5 times. So it's been a dramatic change. Um, their strength's come back. The limp is not as pronounced. I think the strength has come back a little bit more in my arm, but I mean, there's still more to go. And reaction time wise, It's still much slower than my left side,
Hmm.
but going up and down stairs is another thing that's improved a lot. Um, I had like a double whammy before. So I had my right side was weak, and I also had arthritis in my left knee. So that was kind of like, very difficult navigating stairs. But even prior to the arthritis happening, I I would find I had to always navigate the stairs where the banister was on my left side, because my left side, that was my quick reaction time side. So if I was going to trip or have a problem on the stairs, either going up or coming down, I needed my left side to reach out to the banister really quickly to grab on. So those things have improved. I don't need to use the handrail or the banister to get up and down the stairs anymore. I can run up and down the stairs. It's been great.
After 30 years of struggling, you made a dietary change,
Mm,
and that dietary change is what led to all these improvements.
yeah.
It's actually it's actually unbelievable, and it should be standard of care that we not only use the physical therapist and the speech therapist and the occupational therapist, but we should be using dietary changes to improve people. So I really wanted to bring you to this video just to let people know if you're suffering from the after effects of a stroke, you don't have to just give up. And now you understand why Dave has a no carb life YouTube channel, because he has found that carbs were one of the main things that cause harm. Now, when I do my research, there's plenty of studies that would talk about the benefits of a low carb keto or carnivore on the nervous system. And there was a recent review entitled "Ketogenic Diet Provides Neuroprotective Effect Against Ischemic Stroke Neuronal Damages," and they focused on three areas, and one was number one, this term a cytotoxicity, right? So when you have ischemia, which is loss of flow to the blood flow to the brain, failure in energy metabolism occurs. This leads to accumulation of glutamate as a highly toxic agent for the nerve cells, right? And this glutamate, through activation of its receptors, increase calcium levels within the neurons, and that increased calcium activates neurotoxic mechanisms, leading to mitochondrial, impairment, production of free radicals, and it stimulates apoptotic proteins. Now, what they find in studies, and these are in lab studies, they find that ketone bodies are able to protect some kinds of neurons from excitotoxicity and the adverse effects that occur from a stroke, and they
Mm,
increase the survival time. So that's the first thing this review talked about. The second thing it talked about is oxidative stress. And oxidative stress worsens the damage or the cerebral ischemia that occurs after a stroke. And following the reperfusion, in other words, you lose blood to the brain and then it comes back. When it reperfuses, significant amounts of free radicals are generated by the mitochondria, leading to oxidative stress. Studies have found that the ketogenic diet, and carnivore is a form of that, improves the neurons' free radical elimination ability by increasing something called glutathione levels and improvement of the mitochondrial antioxidant capacity and protection of the mitochondria from the oxidative stress that was created from the stroke. And the last thing this review talked about is something called apoptosis. Many of us are familiar with that term because it's all about programmed cell death, and the gradual progression of neuronal death may create an opportunity to recover alive neurons from the ischemic damage. And what the studies have found is that ketone bodies reduce some of these apoptotic biomarkers. And what happens is, when that happens in the studies that they've looked at, by doing that, there is an opportunity to reduce the negative effects of a stroke. So when you think about why Dave has done well, there's all these mechanistic things that are occurring. But at the end of the day, it was just a dietary change that led to this cascade of improvement. So again, if you're thinking about ways to improve the outcomes after a stroke, if you're concerned about having a stroke, reducing carbs is probably one of the things you should be thinking about. So, Dave, I appreciate you sharing your testimony. I just wanted to provide some context and some hope for people who need to hear it. And again, I thank you again also for being on the Protecting Your Nest podcast. And I'll make sure to have a link to that video and a link to Dave's YouTube channel. So thank you for coming to this video. And until the next video, continue to be safe, be well, and continue to protect your nest.